Hello, everybody. Welcome to the next session of From Nothing, Kaelan's story. We're going to jump ahead just a little bit to 3 days before your window ship trip begins, where you'll be sailing out from Ferrum on the road, figuratively, to Phobos. So, as you awaken, it is a Monday, the start of the week.
Okay.
You wake up early. What do, Kaelan, as you wake up in your dormitory in Ferrum? Yes, in Ferrum, in the Merigard.
Well, I think Kaelan is a little nervous right now. A little nervous about, he's pretty much the only one that's been to the Astral Sea out
Right.
of his team. Um, so he's a little nervous about how prepared everyone's going to be. I mean, even he's not well prepared for the Astral Sea. He's only been there for maybe an hour or two.
Right.
Um,
And
so
it was more of a trial by fire for you.
it was, yeah. And he really hasn't. I mean, besides Sean and Matthew, who he considers the closest people in his, like, he's closer to them than anybody else. Um, so he's going to work on building a little bit of a better relationship with the others.
Okay.
Um,
The others being Tame, Wix, and Duracon.
yes. And I think in the time skip, he kind of like, uh, you know, he went fashion shopping with Duracon
Mm-hmm.
to get, a better look instead of like the scraggly, kid from home kind of thing.
As
Um,
Duracon would have told you, it was wise to go to a Dragonborn when it comes to accessorizing.
so first off, I think this morning, I think he's gonna go find Duracon.
Okay.
Um,
What time are you up and about and looking for the cleric?
Uh, in the time that I've in this like whole year, did I get a gauge on what time if Turkon's a late riser or an early
Roll
riser?
me a retroactive insight check.
Okay. Okay. Um, where is insight on my? There it is. There we
Below
go.
history and above intimidation.
Oh, that's a 20. It's pretty good.
You know for a fact that Duracon wakes up early, but he spends a lot of time in isolation. He spends a lot of time cleaning himself, oiling his scales, like decorating his horns, cleaning up his armor, oiling his weapons. He does all of his maintenance to his person very early in the day, and he like usually leaves his room and dormitory when he doesn't have a mission at like 8 in the morning.
Okay. Uh, so naturally, Kalen's always been an early riser as he grew up hunting.
Yeah.
So he is gonna patiently wait and go to the mess hall to begin with, and maybe we can have maybe I can find someone else to have a conversation with before Durkon's ready.
Someone else. Okay.
Um,
Roll me a d8.
okay. I'm hoping for a tame, but I don't think she's an early riser. Not sure yet. Don't know her too well. 8.
Okay. 8. You don't see Tame. You see, as you head to the mess hall, sitting by herself with a lot of books open. And concerningly, with your high passive perception, you see that these books have what look like dagger marks, like the diamond cross-section holes punched through the books. You see Wix is sitting at one of the tables with a broad platter, and you can feel almost as you haven't been in Wix's company much yet, and you can see, like, when you see her, there's like that haze of the guys from the Merigard Academy. It's just a hint of it there now. Like, it's like you glance over and your eyes recoil as if you're looking at an illusion, and then
Yeah.
it goes away.
Okay.
But she appears completely busy and engrossed in the book. You see that she has. It looks like she's staring at a spot where a dagger went into the book, and she does not look up nor notice you.
Okay. So he's gonna go play to breakfast. And
Let's hang on. We gotta deal with the thing. See what it is. Okay, it's a very basic breakfast. You only get 4 temporary hit points.
I already had 6 previously.
Then
Do I
you
keep
can
those?
you can keep those.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so yeah, he grabs a plate of breakfast, something light, and not meaning to disturb anything around her, all the books. He's just gonna slide in across from her. Um, Good morning.
You startle her. She suddenly looks up, surprised, and she says, "Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. How long have you been there?"
Oh, just now.
You can see she like looks down at the book with a small, like a sigh of relief. Can you help?
Of course, you got a lot of books here. Are you studying up on the astral sea for our trip?
She blinks. No, I. No. This. She looks a little bit embarrassed as that thought apparently didn't occur to her. She has what looks like a spell book open in front of her. And she says, Tabernacle warned me not to keep my books open with a dagger, and I didn't listen a while ago. And I can't read this page. And she shows it to you. What language do you speak?
Surprisingly, he speaks a lot. Common, Draconic, Dwarvish, Elvish, Giant, Gith.
A veritable polyglot.
Yeah.
This is an Elvish.
Okay.
And it's a spell. However, you can see where the dagger punched through the book. Right on the page is right where there is a letter missing.
All right. Well, judging by the letters around it, can I guess?
Roll intelligence.
Oh. the. Uh, nope.
Oh, a natural 1.
Yeah.
It is a very inconvenient place for this dagger to have punched through this book. It could be any number of a few words. The problem is some of them words mean like grouping together, and some of them means fiery immolation.
So, do you know what this spell is supposed to do?
She looks frustrated as she tilts her hands toward the book and then puts her hand on her forehead and she says, "No, yes and no. It's supposed to be an evocation spell."
Okay.
But the problem is it could be focused on either a friendly target or an enemy target, and I can't tell which.
All right.
And if I get it wrong, I might hurt a friend or I might help an enemy.
Well,
she just thumps her head down on the book.
Unfortunately, the letter you've stabbed through. Well, the translation could mean one thing or the other. So, the next step may be to try it out. Maybe not here, but in some sort of battleground.
You mean in the training room? She says, with her head down on the table.
I
guess. She lifts her head back up, looking down at the book sadly.
I think I can take a shot right now. So let's try it out. Try this one, and he gives the fiery one translation first.
So
Uh,
basically, in Elvish, she says conflagration.
right. That
Uh,
one.
okay, we're not doing that here.
No, no, no. The training room.
She nods. And you realize that she has like, well, you've seen it. She probably just remembered. She has like a plate of fruit that have,
Uh huh.
it's all been like wilted, like it's been there for a while. It's clear that she's been struggling with this for at least like half an hour.
Oh boy.
The
Okay.
apples are like turning brown, and it's a very sad image. But she doesn't seem to care as she picks one up and she says, "All right, finish your food, and then hopefully I don't set you on fire, but or I do set them on, you know."
It's gonna be fine. I'm sure of it. Um, he just kind of wraps a sausage into a pancake and just picks it up as a pig is in a blanket and just come on, let's go.
She
And
follows
eat.
you.
All right. Is the training room just open always to us, or do we have to go to Persh first?
Usually you do have to go to Persh, because he has to set it up. So you know this. You know that the training room requires some manipulation by Persh.
Mm-hmm.
But it's easy enough. You basically just tell him you need it to train, and he's like, so long as nobody's in there, he lets you in.
Maybe for 10 minutes or so.
Simple enough. And the door
All right.
suddenly opens. You notice the training room. Now that you know where Zane Torno's office door is, the training room door is physically too close to that door for it to make sense. They're right next to each other. Literally like an inch of wood separates the two doors.
Whew. All right. Oh man. I still don't get this place. And he just walks in.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and pull you and Wix over to the training room. Wix and Kaelan. Okay. You've set up in the training room. It is empty. What you told Persh that you were doing something in here?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So a few moments after that happens, you see a suddenly emerging from the sand, not moving, but looking like basically a training dummy. You recognize an animated armor suddenly appears.
Oh, that's perfect. All right. Try it on that thing. Because I was gonna have you try it on me, but that's better.
Wix looks over at the animated armor, and then she looks back at you, and she says, "You wanted me to cast it on you?"
I can take a shot.
Okay, so
It was gonna be fine.
with conflagration in mind, she raises her hand and she begins to work out these very clearly evocation somatics with lots of big gestures as she's holding the book out in front of herself. And as she holds her hand towards the animated armor, nothing happens. Huh.
Do do I remember the other translation? Was
Yeah.
it like between two?
So
All right, try blah, blah, try
Elven,
that.
basically Elven for congregation.
Try congregation.
And she kind of scowls. Hmm. She puts the hand back in the book and she reads it again. And then she does similar somatics and she says that word instead. And as she does, suddenly you watch as this animated armor, it suddenly like ice begins to crawl up out of the sand, and she, no, that's shit. It's wrong spell. That's Cryograsp. I know that one. And she like reads it again. You think you might have
That's
missed
going well.
something.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Hold on.
You see the animated armor just like clanking as it's trying to move.
All right. Can I look over it again? And this time I'm gonna just use one of the daily 3 guidance to try.
Sure. Go ahead.
This is just Arcana.
Yeah, it would be Arcana.
Okay. Normal. All right. Natural 20
Uh,
with a D4. Let's try. There we go. 25.
so you see why it didn't work. It originally, when you first read it, you just took as where the knife went through as that's clear. That's where the problem is. But you realize there is more to it than that. You recognize it is talking about flame grouping. So both words could technically be correct, but there is a letter cut away from another word, and you realize exactly it's supposed to direct fire to a place where it groups.
Oh. Okay. All right. I explained just that to Wix,
Okay,
and he just kind of.
with that natural 20, you're able to basically convey why it went wrong the way it did. Hold on a minute. There it is. She nods, and this time she focuses on the animated armor with you right next to her. She didn't really wait.
All right. He kind of jumps behind, like as soon as she starts making the emotions.
Yeah. Suddenly, a line of flame scores across the ground as she successfully casts Agnazar's Scorcher.
Oh, all right. That was pretty good.
As it hits the animated armor, you watch as the flames lick up it in the line, and she says, "That's what it was. Okay. Thank you." Ugh, bloody stupid. And she, like, quickly, she, like, pulls out a pen and makes some addendums to that page where the dagger went through.
You know, maybe instead of a dagger, I can make you something a little bit less sharp. I'm pretty good with wood. Maybe a bookmark that looks like a dagger, but it's made of wood.
It doesn't have to look. It was quick. I
understand.
She just kind of like, she's a little frustrated as she closed the book and she says, "A bookmark would help. Yes."
All right. Just give me a day or so. I'll work on it tonight.
Or, what do we do about... And the animated armor is just like standing there. It's heavily damaged.
Well, do you want to finish it off, or?
Mm-hmm. She throws a firebolt at it.
All right.
The helmet of the animated armor just clong clong off on the ground. And as you've seen before in the training room, destroyed creatures just turn back into the misty fog within the room. All right.
Well,
Thank you for
pretty.
thank you for the help.
Of course. We shouldn't stay in here much longer. I know the whole effects of it kind of mess with your head
What do you mean?
or something like that. You weren't told the warning?
I don't remember.
Fair enough. He just kind of like gestures to the healing mist. If we stay in there too long, it has had first effects to us.
Oh. So I
we used
shouldn't take a nap in here.
Probably not.
She kind of looks at the
Yeah.
ground like a little bit, like that look on her face, like, okay, great. And just makes her way out of the training room.
He'll follow.
Okay. You return to the Mary Guard's lobby. Persh looks up and he says, "Are you all finished?"
Hi, we're finished.
All right. And then you see he, like, touches a rune on the side of his desk, and the door behind you closes.
Oh, now that that's out of the way and you got it all figured out, are you, how do I say this? I'm a little bit awkward in social situations.
I get that a
So,
lot. Sometimes I just fumble through it. That's usually when people get uncomfortable around me, though.
oh, that's fair. Awkward silences are my forte.
Really? What's that
Truly,
sound like?
nothing. And he just awkward silence.
She blinks.
See,
Oh,
right there.
like, so you're supposed to say something, but nothing is said.
Right. Um, so, been meaning to ask you, what, why the Merry Guard and why, war magic?
Um, why not?
All right.
Why the merry guard and why um plane walking?
Um, the plane walking came as an interest when I started being, taking lessons. Um, found I had a knack for it and just went with it. Um, why the Merry Guard is a bit of a longer story, and it's part of the reason why I want to go back to Vovos. Um, you seem to keep yourself busy a lot, though.
Idle hands are dangerous ones.
That's true.
Have you ever heard of the city of a thousand faces?
Has he?
Roll a history check.
Okay. That's not bad. 17.
Yeah, you have. You've only heard of it like in story, like people referencing it, mostly from sailors. But you know that in Eastern Aurelia there is a city that is kind of raised up out of the desert, and it's called the City of a Thousand Faces.
I've heard it once or twice from a sailor coming through. Um, are you from there?
Aye, born and raised.
And what's that like?
Well, um, I imagine it's much the same as it was for you in Phobos or wherever. Were you born there?
I, born, raised, never left until I came to the Merry Guard. So
Well, there's a lot of, well, my kind, but most of them choose to look like your kind, if you know what I
see,
mean.
I know what you mean.
I was never very good at it. I mean, I can do it. Uh, I never really had a knack to be someone else, I guess. Um, I'd always felt uncomfortable. So I just kind of stopped trying. And eventually people stopped giving you a hard time about it. Or maybe I just stopped noticing. It could be either. I don't really care. Sometimes it's helpful to just change my voice or change my face, but I always feel better. And she just kind of gestures to herself.
You feel more comfortable being yourself.
Right. I don't have to remember anything. I don't have to pretend. I'm not good at remembering specifics. about people.
All right.
I'm bad with
Well,
names too. So if people ask me what my name is and I'm not me, I usually just say me and then it all falls apart.
I can see that. It'd be kind of confusing if you had 1,000 names and 1,000 faces.
Right? I can barely handle the one.
Well, I think it's great that you enjoy being yourself and not changing yourself.
That makes you different from lots of folk back home, let me tell you that.
Huh.
Lots of my kind think I'm, well, foolish. Or, stupid.
From what I've seen, you're far from stupid, if that makes any difference.
She kind of waves the book with the dagger holes in it around and she says, Of course. Yep. I'm glad you think, Sat.
I mean, I don't think I could ever do that sort of spell work. Those movements, what you just did, knowing all those. I
Oh,
mean,
it's just training.
but there's different kinds of smart, you know? Um, and you've got the book smart in heaps. So,
Speaking of, I should probably go read up on the astral, shouldn't I?
probably. It's interesting. I've only been there a couple hours, and that was a part of my test to graduate. Um,
Is it true magic it behaves different there?
I didn't really cast a lot of spells, but I will tell you that I got caught in a. The only thing I can really describe it as a kaleidoscope of different energy, um, a storm, meteor shower of sorts. I don't know. I was getting hit by different colors, and they were doing different types of damage to me. It was a little scary,
Hold on.
to say the least.
Oh. Okay, you encountered condensed elements, it sounds like.
All right, I'll try to remember that name.
I remember it wasn't about the astral sea, but there are places in the other planes where the weave can get spaghettified, and pure magic can condense as if it's water off a steam.
Interesting.
Did you try and did you do anything with them, or did you try and?
I was trying to dodge them because they were hurting a lot, so
I didn't consider that.
didn't I didn't really think of trying to collect anything. Um, Now that I think about it, a lot happened in those 2 hours. Came across a mind flayer in stasis. Um, Came across an astral drake, and he just kind of like takes off the ring that he got
Yeah,
made from Zurich and kind of presents it. She was there actually, wasn't she?
she was with you, but she might not have been
Yeah.
paying attention.
Okay, that's fair. Um,
Let me roll to see if she
that's
did. Oh, what's that? She was not paying attention at all.
You were literally with us when I got this made, but um,
Was I?
this is from the astral drake scale that I got from the astral sea.
It's beautiful. What does this do? Is this ring magic?
I yes. It'll help us not be surprised.
Oh, I remember you asking me about that. Surprise is always I'm always caught off guard.
Well, stick close to me, and you won't be surprised anymore.
You have a deal.
Um, I think the most interesting part of that trip was running into the Gith.
You
Um,
you ran into Gith, and they didn't kill
I
you.
I took it upon myself to learn the language before ever setting foot in the astral sea, so it came in handy.
Huh? That was some forethought.
I
I had
try.
I had better go do my own study then. I, j- I don't want to be caught off guard, at least any more than usual. When are we
I think
leaving?
in about 3 days.
All right.
Um, the Manellicilians are a pretty good read.
Oh, I've read lots of their stuff. I didn't know they had one on the Astral. I'll have to find that one.
If if they do, I don't know if they do. I mean, they have books on everything else, so
Aye, they probably do.
possible.
All right. Well, you'll know where to find me if you need anything.
Of course.
She kind of gives you a weird, awkward smile and then heads toward Tabernacle's Tower.
All right.
As Wix departs ways, it's about that time that Duracon would probably emerge.
Okay.
Uh,
Uh,
Go
just kind
ahead.
of like taking a deep breath, and as he spots Durkon come down the stairs, or from the dorms. Oh, good morning, Durkon.
Good morning.
Um, we got about 3 days until we depart. Um, I was thinking maybe we could prep for it, buy some new clothes or traveling clothes of such.
It is always a good idea to be prepared for any abnormality. But
Good.
first, I am hungry.
Fair enough.
Do you mind waiting?
Don't mind at all.
As
Uh,
Vion says, patience is always an excellent tactic. And he thumps you on the shoulder and then walks into the mess hall.
okay. He'll follow and just kind of like maybe get a snack because
Okay.
all he had was
It's
the
your
pigs
second
in a
breakfast.
blanket.
Sure.
Yep.
As
I'm a halfling
Duracon,
now.
yeah, apparently, as Duracon eats his breakfast, he asks, "Do we have any other plans before this journey?"
I don't think so. It's just gonna be. I mean, unless we get another job handed down to us that takes less than a day. Um, I don't think so. So it's just gearing up, prepping for the Astral Sea.
I do not know much about the Astral Sea. I am
Well,
expecting to follow in your patterns.
um, it's a bit magical and strange at the same time. Um, lots of magic is weird there, but I don't think you should have a problem. Um, movement was a little bit weird as well. I had to think hard about where I needed to go.
Sounds tiring.
It was, but we'll be on a window ship, so we won't have to worry about too much movement.
Hold on. I do not know much about window ships. I did not know that they existed until, well, you told me we were going on one.
All right. Well, window ships are special in the fact they traverse the astral plane rather than over the ocean or in the air. Makes for seamless travel, but it's a bit dangerous. And that's why they need crews to protect the ships.
I am ready for danger.
Good.
You should know that better than anyone.
I do quite know that. Um, Before we head out, though, we really haven't gotten a chance to really talk about, just things. It's
Mm-hmm.
more of been training and jobs and battles. And I've asked Wix this question earlier before he came down. But what made you come to the Merry Guard?
Hmm. That is the first time anyone aside from an instructor has asked me that question.
Really?
Really. He considers how he considers the question, he considers how he wants to answer you. Um have you ever heard a story or a tale of greatness? And as you listened, you wish that that could be you were hearing about.
I have heard plenty of stories of great heroes and heroism. Um, I mean, one of our great heroes in Triton, um, I'm blanking on the name now.
Astrid the Sea Eye?
Yes, Astrid. Uh, uh, Astrid the Sea Eye. Grew up hearing all about her stories and all that. Haven't quite wished to be a part of those stories, but I can understand the feeling. Is that what you want for yourself?
No, but I heard, rather, I had a vision from Vion himself. I knew that if I were to journey to the Merigard, people could hear stories of me and wish they would be in my shoes. And already, this has happened.
Really? Um, can you explain a little bit more?
We have fought many valiant enemies. We have vanquished many foes and we have completed many tasks. These are the qualities of a hero. And as a soldier, I value this.
All right. So everything that we did in the fall festival.
More than that. But yes,
All right. And you're hoping to maybe put some more stories under your belt?
there can never be too many. And ever since I have become closer with Vion, I've learned more about how to converse with him. The instructor Treat has taught me many tricks in the ways to get answers out of the gods.
All right. So Vion must be pretty important to you.
Durakan, he looks up from his breakfast at you, and he
Uh-huh.
looks confused, and he says, did I ever imply anything else?
No, but I mean, you talk about him a lot, but
Of course I do. He's the source of my valor.
and where did that all start? I mean, did something happen at home that made you turn to him?
Roll me a persuasion check.
Oh boy, Kaelan, come on. Okay. Yeah, 12. Right down the middle.
Okay. Hmm. Yes. I will say I will say this. My family is from Unahi, the city of scales. Do you know
Don't know
it?
anything. I
Roll
was
a
gonna
history.
ask.
Roll a history.
Okay. Oh, hey, 20.
Yeah, you know it well. It's the capital of Terracona. It's the seat of where the ancient gold dragon, the most powerful dragon in the world, Raylar the Lasting, it's his seat of power, and it's the capital of Terracona.
Okay. Uh, all right. So you're at the seat of power then, or
My
you're from
family
the seat of
was.
power.
Yes.
All right.
My father was a lawman for the Draconis Inumine, which is not common knowledge, he says as he looks back down at the table.
Oh, your secret's safe with me. Promise.
Well, right. In the hand of that, my mother was an Azamar of Tyrus.
Oh, all right.
So things often were tense when it came to the law at home. I
I
wouldn't
see.
see them much. Durkan is pretty quiet for a long moment.
Mm-hmm.
As he's like, you get with your insight, he's like trying to decide if he's told you too much or if this is if he's like trying to decide if he wants to explain more. And eventually he says, when I grew of age, I joined the militia. I wanted to learn to make something of myself. And
All
also
right.
a way to get out of the city, away from home.
I understand.
But it was there I learned of Vion and the power, the strength that he taught, the virtue of fighting with honor and with training. That's
So,
when I heard of this place.
and becoming a contractor so you can go a lot of places.
Exactly. And so other children might hear of tales of valor that I forged. He seems pretty awkward as he's talking about this.
Well, I believe that's pretty noble of you.
You're right. And he takes another large bite of eggs.
So I assume you feel pretty good about being able to travel everywhere,
Oh,
even other planes.
I don't know about that. I don't know much about the other planes. But I figure the more exotic, the better the stories. The more
Uh,
people I can affect.
have you ever heard of Arcadia?
No.
Uh, just so this isn't like some like, well, I've been to Arcadia twice. Um, while learning here.
I don't
Uh,
recall it from a map.
it's not on any map. It's another plane. It's actually where You can find a lot of Dragonborn.
Oh. Most I
Um,
know of come from Terracona.
I I think you'd be interested in going there sometime. Maybe.
How does one
Uh,
go? It's on another plane. I don't have the magic for that.
Not yet, anyway. Right?
I will, when I grow much stronger, and Vion entrusts me with more of his power.
Well then, let's get you there. What do you say?
I will get there, one way or the other. But I would gladly accept your help in the adventure.
Good. I'm glad you're with me on these adventures.
I know you are. Someone
Well
has to
then.
put you back together after your foolish endeavors.
I have done some pretty foolish things.
Sometimes I wonder why you carry the bow.
That's a good question. Very good question. I'll be sure to stay at complete range.
Either that, or invest in a real shield.
So, then how do you feel about Wix going into melee then?
He blinks, as if the thought never even occurred to him. And he says, I don't know. That seems also foolish. But somehow she avoids trouble, and you do not.
Oh, well, I'm
Perhaps
glad
she
you're.
is just faster than you. That's more of a question.
Uh, um. Oh, I don't think so, but I'm working on it. Promise. I'm working on it.
You should know, if you fall in battle, I will be taking your seat as team leader, at least until you are conscious again.
Good. I wouldn't have any other person.
Of course, I have the most tactical mind of anyone in this group.
Right, you do. Well then, breakfast all done?
Duracon does finish eating, and he says, well, any more would slow me down.
Fair enough. Let's go grab some new traveling clothes.
As you
We'll be on
say,
a ship.
I should point out, my armor is now mithril.
Oh, did I pick that up with my
No, he's not
24?
wearing armor right now. He's like
Oh,
in
okay,
common clothes.
gotcha. Common clothes? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good. All right.
I was
Make you a
given
bit.
it for graduation, along with an amulet to enhance my conversations with Vion.
Oh, good. All right. I got this. And he kind of like thumbs the cloak, displacement cloak.
That looks very dapper.
Does it go well with this outfit?
No,
All right, then we'll have to change it,
of
won't
course.
we? All right.
Black contrasts best with blues and golds. Remember that.
All right. Well, let's go. Let's go get some more traveling clothes then.
As you say. He follows you. Um,
All right. We don't have to do like a whole
you
RP.
do not
Just
have to
a
RP out buying clothes with Duracon.
shopping montage. Ready? Go 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 go. Just floats on by. Yeah, I will buy a new set of like fashionable traveling clothes with Duracon.
A nice set of traveling clothes doesn't cost you more than 5 gold. It fits well, and it can look like whatever you want it to look like. As you
Okay.
stop in, it seems right. The tailor here in Pharaoh.
5 gold. I will delete that right now. Okay.
Uh,
All right.
so we'll say that's what happens. But as you are out on the town, I do require a D100.
Okay. Gotcha. 83.
83. Hold on. I think that is a thing. Yep. Okay.
Cool.
As you're walking, okay, I need to pull up the map here. Uh, as you're walking through Ferrum, seems right is just north of the fair of the market. Here on the road, and as you're walking, um, you hear a hey, hey you. You
Um,
you realize it's coming
yeah.
from below you.
Looks down. Is it like, is there a grate?
Yes, there is a sewer grate on the side of the street that you are walking down, and you see a pair of kind of gold eyes peering up at you. You
Hmm.
can see with your dark vision, a kobold is peering up out of the grate at you.
In Draconic, he'll kind of he'll take a knee by the grate and lean down. Good morning, little friend.
When you speak in Draconic, the kobold seems surprised, but then replies in Draconic, "Oh, hello. It's good to hear someone speaking the old tongue."
Oh no! Oh, great. That's great. That's amazing. You see Kaelan just kind of like taken aback by the entire shift of like demeanor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he'll blink. Can I help you with something?
You could, if you don't mind, could you ask the lady who lives above this grate to stop pouring her night soils down it?
Oh, you live down here,
No, I live nearby, but this is on my way to where I work,
and
and it's disgusting.
you don't want to step in shit.
You've got it.
All right, I'll um, I'll do my best.
I appreciate that. I do it myself, but it's bright out there. And he slides a gold coin up through the grate to you.
Oh, he'll like wave him off. I'll do this for free. No worries.
You're very kind.
Um, this house over here, and he kind of just points
He
to the
the
closest
the
house.
kobold nods.
All right. Um, is Jurikon still with me?
Yeah, he understands Draconic. He's been listening this whole time.
Okay. I just didn't know if. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Can will look up at at Durkon and
It's
just kind of like shrug.
it's the least we could do, I guess.
Sure. Uh, we walk over to the house and politely knock.
It takes a moment. You hear like a clattering of dishes from inside, and then the door opens, and you see a stout dwarven woman who looks pretty later on in her years. As a dwarf, you'd imagine she's like over 200. She looks up and she says, "Oh, hi, what you want?"
Um, Good morning. And he'll. Does Kaelan speak Dwarvish? Yeah, he does. So in Dwarvish, uh, good morning. Um, this is a bit of an awkward request, but well,
In dwarvish, she says, "Out with it, lad. I don't have all day."
are you aware there's a community of kobold in Ferrum?
Yeah, everyone's aware. They're all down in the
Oh,
rain road.
Right. So they like you understand that they don't like sunlight and it hurts their eyes and they have to use a lot of underground pathways.
She blinks. Wha What's your
Well,
point, lad?
you see that grate over there? That is a direct line
To the
for
sewer.
this community. Right. Um, and we've got a formal request that maybe some of your refuse doesn't get dumped into that part of the grate.
Wait, who's it
Do
bothering?
you, the kobold community.
Roll me a persuasion check.
Okay. This is an
Durakon
awkward
does
request.
not speak Dwarvish, so ever since he started, he's just been like looking around.
Okay. Well, persuasion. Yeah, I'm gonna use a charge here. Oh, hey, okay, that's not bad. D4. Hey, 18.
18. She looks past you at the grate. All right, that's simple enough.
Thank you for your time.
Mm-hmm. I got pies cooking.
Uh, oh, all right, enjoy.
She
And
blinks at you and then closes the door.
all right, we're good. I'll turn to Duracon and say that.
What happened?
Um, she won't dump her refuse in that grate over there.
Not all tasks appear as glorious as they may seem.
It was a very awkward request, and
Durakon shrugs.
sorry for switching to Dwarven. I figured it'd be better if I spoke in her tongue.
I figured something like that happened.
All right. Well, back to the academy then.
Right. So, that was your random encounter. A kobold asked you
Perfect.
to do a quick task, and you did. Uh, what is next
Yay.
for Kaelan?
All right. Well.
After all your shopping, I'll
Hmm,
say it's like afternoon now.
afternoon. Okay. Well, then another idea just kind of came over. Um, as soon as we get in, he's going to go up to Persh.
Okay?
Um, Persh,
All right.
how malleable is that training room? Can it be altered um, to have the same effects as the Astral Sea?
Hirsch blinks. Not quite. I can arrange it so that the sand is up to 15 feet high in places. We can create small structures and such for training in urban settings and such like that, but to actually change, like, gravity is a bit beyond it. But if you want to train in the Astral Sea, you could maybe speak with Tabernac.
All right. Is Duracon still there, like nearby?
He's right behind you. He's following you around.
Duracon,
Mm.
can you? I'm gonna go round up Tame and Wix. Can you get Sean and Matthew?
They're simple enough to find.
I think maybe this afternoon we should do some training.
I'm always in favor of getting more prepared.
All right. Uh, First I'll try to find Tame.
Okay. Roll me an investigation check.
All right. My passive is 17. Oh, okay, 15.
15. It takes you a while. It takes you like 20 minutes. You're like going from classroom to classroom. Finally, you do find Tame in the fighter's classroom. She is on the far side of the fighter's classroom, just weightlifting, throwing plates around. And when you do find her, she just looks up and says, "Sup? You know,
How do
come
you
in
feel
here."
about? Not often, but I have been in here. Um, how do you feel about training for our voyage?
Never heard of a fight someone trained too much for.
All right. Meet by the wizard's classroom. I
All
gotta
right,
get Wix.
give me 5 minutes
You
to
can,
get cleaned up.
of course.
And
Uh,
she does.
okay. I head off back to the front. Is Matthew or Sean or Duracon, are they all gathered?
It would not have taken Duracon long to find them, as they're at the Merry Guard constantly.
Okay.
So they yeah, they're already there.
Hey guys,
What's the plan then? Matthew asks.
a little bit of training in the Astral Sea.
Sean raises his eyebrows and he says, "You mean right now, all of us?"
Well, we have to convince Tabernac, but
Aye, okay.
what do you guys say?
It's worth trying. And Matthew says, "Yeah, it sounds like fun."
I realized today that I'm the only one that's been. So going out on a window ship for the first time is a bit dangerous. So let's do it. I think Wix might be in the wizard's classroom anyway.
So that's where we're
Let's
headed
go.
then.
Aye, let's go see if we can find her there.
Tame emerges, like, wearing a change of clothes. It's clear that she did wash up after... You basically interrupted her workout, so she is looking like she is not exhausted, but was under some physical strain. And she says,
Okay.
"All right, what's the plan?"
Some afternoon training in the Astral Sea.
Fuck yeah, lead the way.
All right. To the wizard's classroom.
Okay, you and your party make your way up to Tabernac's classroom.
All right.
Hold on. One moment as I shift things around here. You do find Wix here. Book open on the table in front of her. Again, she does not notice anybody.
All right.
At the top of the stage, this library area of Tabernac's classroom, you do see the elderly, kind of balding human form of Tabernac, who's standing nearby. Roll me a perception check at disadvantage.
Oh, disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, 12.
You get the weird impression of your eyes glazing over, like that same feeling, but in different places of the room. You imagine
Okay.
there might be students here that you just can't perceive.
I see.
As you enter the room, Tabernac looks up from his little pedestal. "Hello, Kaelan and posse," as all of you are filing in.
Right. Kind of rolled up on you here. We're hoping you can help us out with a bit of training this afternoon. Are you free or available?
At the moment, I am teaching a class, but if you are willing to wait maybe an hour, we
You
can
think
talk
we can-
about it.
I think we can spare an hour. He kinda looks at the rest of the team.
Before I make a promise, what sort of training are you hoping to accomplish?
We're set to sail on a window ship in the Astral Sea in 3 days.
Ah, I see. That does explain Wix's sudden interest in the astral. And Wix, hearing her name, looks up and says, "What?" Oh! Hello, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Read a lot. Vanilla Cillian. Good recommendation. His makes it very easy to keep track.
All right, then. In this hour, then, do you mind if we sit here with Wix?
That is
Tabernacle.
fine. Just watch where you sit. I will warn you. There will be a slight cost to train in the Astral Sea.
All right.
He does.
Hit me
He
with the
like.
number.
He looks over all of you. 6 individuals. 25 gold each.
All right.
That will cover the component cost of shifting all of you to the sea.
All right, then.
Matthew says, "I'm sorry, I'm just flat broke. Could somebody cover me?"
Insight check.
Go ahead, roll an insight check.
Okay.
Oh no.
17.
You beat him. You have seen Matthew go on missions with you. You have seen him take paychecks, and he does not drink that much. There's no way he's flat broke.
Kaelan would just, like, fold his arms and just look at Matthew.
Roll an intimidation check.
This is gonna go well. Oh, natural 1.
Matthew just looks at you and shrugs, and he says, "What? I have needs."
Just this once, please.
Oh.
Just yourself, at least.
All right, fine. And he like reaches into a pocket that doesn't look like a pocket, and he pulls out 3 platinum, and he says, "Can someone break this?"
I'll break it for him.
He gives you a platinum, and you give him 5 gold.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. He smiles at you with a friendly, like, toothy grin.
Uh-huh.
So you have an hour to kill. Do you, like, research anything? Do you just goof around, or you just wait?
Yeah, Wix, what have you learned about the Astral Sea that you can tell all these, everybody else?
Oh, it's full of monsters. There's lots of these creepy astral sirens that if you hear them, they try and convince you to go to them, and then they eat you. Gith are all over the place. It's their hometown, so to speak. If we run into any, well, you said you can speak Gith, so maybe you can talk us out of trouble.
All right.
Window ship lanes are kind of set. They're like sailing lanes, but there are some monsters that are known to, well, prey on them. Mind flayers sometimes do. We might run into them. If we do, it's very important that at least one of us has a ring of mind shielding. Does anybody have one of them? Everyone just looks back and forth.
No. Sean, do you think, are you able to make one of those?
Sean scratches his chin. Natural 20. Aye. Yeah, no problem.
All right.
Just need to know that I need it, and now that I know that I need it, yeah, I'll get to it. It'll have to be on me. Hopefully that's good enough. And Wix nods and says, just one of us is fine. Basically, if we get mind blasted, you'll be safe from it, probably. And then you can shake us awake. And Sean just goes, oh, delightful. Wix, like, looks down at the book, and she says, there are lots of strange magic out there. Like you discovered, that kaleidoscope of pain. Those are elemental globes, and they are pretty common. So if we run into those, they can be used to recharge wands and such things. You can also use them to make wands if we find some. But as you found, they're dangerous, so don't get hurt.
All right.
There's also lots of pieces of the world floating out there.
Huh.
There's some overlap between the astral sea and the temporal plane, so lots of weird things floating out there.
All right then. Kaelan will take a glance at Tame. How is Tame like receiving all this information?
That's a good question. While Wix was talking about the threats, the Gith, the Mind Flayers, she was interested and like leaning forward. And then as Wix was talking about the elemental globes and the other weird stuff, she just kind of zoned out and his eyes are glazed over.
Fair enough. All right. So monsters, threats. I definitely ran into an astral drake before.
That was bizarre, according to this. They're very rare, so I guess consider yourself lucky it didn't just eat you.
It was pretty nice when I talked to it.
Maybe it thought you were a curiosity. Or maybe Vanilla Stellian didn't really run into a friendly one. I don't know. She, shifts through the pages of the book. It's kind of vague about that one. It's almost as though maybe they had their mind blasted or their memory rattled. Could be any of the above.
All right. Well, if we run into Garethar again, maybe
Garethar.
he'll cut us a break.
Maybe. Also, some magic is more effective than others. If it's magic of the mind, it goes much farther in the astral sea than it would here in the prime material.
All right.
Like, psionics or psychic affecting spells, mind reading, that sort of thing.
Okay, then.
Sean just says, does it go into any specifics about that? And Wix just shrugs and says, it's all very cryptic about that. Those who could would know it, I guess. Sean nods. Okay. That's basically what Wix has learned.
Okay. Well then.
After...
Let's,
go ahead.
The pages on, did you come across the Mind Flayers yet?
I just read that they were common, and she, goes sifting back through it. Okay, so there are several instances of Mind Flayers that occur in the astral sea. Sometimes they project from their home plane, which is frequently the Underdark, which is another plane. Don't get me started. But sometimes they do also voyage within the astral sea when in search of new slaves.
Right.
They have their own vessels, which can navigate the astral sea as if it was a giant person, I guess. So if we see a Mind Flayer ship, which is described to look like a giant shell with tentacles, as if it's a giant flying hermit crab. There's no drawing. I guess we'll know it when we see it. If we see it.
They have a drawing of a Mind Flayer.
She opens the book and turns it toward you and shows you a Mind Flayer. Which,
All right.
If you know what a Mind Flayer looks like, they're horrendous. If you don't... Hold on. This is a Mind Flayer. You can mouse over it to see what it looks like.
Yeah. Tame, how do you feel about smacking one of those in the face?
Sounds like calamari.
All right.
She actually, cracks her knuckles as she looks at the page. I'm kind of hoping we run into him. Nyx, shakes her head and says, I don't think so, but all right. They can be dangerous at the best. Let's see. They have powerful mind-affecting abilities, and the less strength you have in the mental faculties, the weaker you are to them. And Tame looks at her and says, "What are you trying to say?" Nothing, just be careful. Tame looks a little miffed. And Nyx is like, "Did I say something wrong?"
We'll be fine.
Right. Anyway, I'm more worried. Frankly, I'm more worried about the astral sirens. From what I read, they show you what you most desire, or they make you hear people you love lost in the astral sea. And if you hear it, it's real convincing, and it makes you go to them. So we really have to be careful if we hear them.
Fair enough.
Though I think your ring, if you make it, should help. And Sean just shrugs.
Well then.
Although if we do run into an astral dreadnought, that might be the end of our little story together.
Do they have a picture of it?
She sifts through. This friendly-looking fella. You mouse over that to see it.
All right. Well, if we see one of those, we run.
If we can.
All right. Well then.
Sorry to put a bit of a darkener on that.
All good. And he looks to the rest of the group.
I'm ready to train.
Ready for some training, everybody.
Matthew, is flipping a dagger around. He says, "I can't wait to see how one of these fly when there's, no gravity." You think I'll be able to get it back? And Wix just goes, "No." Shit.
Hope you got enough of them.
I'll just use the rusty ones.
Good. And
we can say an hour has passed if you'd like. Tabernac, after there's this weird moment where Tabernac is speaking to people, that it's weird as he's speaking to people that you clearly cannot perceive. It's as though you're having a hard time focusing on what he's saying. It's almost like it's like
the
Charlie.
Peanuts.
Yeah. It's wah wah wah. No, it's just you don't remember what he said immediately after he said it. Then he turns to you and your team and he says, "Well, how did my proposal for price go over? 25 a head is reasonable, yes?"
I will. Matthew's paying for himself, so I'll put 125 down.
And Matthew does put out the 25. Everyone else would have given you their 25 gold, by the way. You don't have to pull that from your inventory.
Okay. Well, then if they start pulling out stuff, then I'll just put 25 gold down.
Everyone else pays for themselves. Matthew's just the one that famously refuses to pay for himself when it comes to anything as a group.
I get it.
As you all put forward 25 gold, Tabernac gathers it up and he says, "Very well, follow me to the stage." And as he leads you all down, he shows you the oraculum, this lens apparatus that he pulls the canvas from above. And as described before, it's like these multiple crystal lenses, each of different color. And he shifts through the different lenses, pulling out one that is kind of this bluish spangled black lens. And he says, "Look through there and see if you can find a location you would like to train in."
All right.
And before you do, brace yourself.
All right. He braces himself physically.
Okay. Roll me an intelligence saving throw at advantage as you look through the lens.
Okay. Cool. Oh, not bad. 19.
19. Successful. You do not become like confusingly befuddled as all this information flowing through the lens suddenly crowds into your mind. Instead of restricting it, you take a deep breath and you let the information flow into you, as if you're drinking from a hose. And as you look out, you see the astral sea spreading out before you. It is unending. And as you peer through this lens, your mind's eye crosses over all sorts of space and terrain and broken buildings and floating ships and entire, like, microcosms, like a small jungle-filled lush garden surrounded by mountains is floating upside down over what looks like maybe a representation of sunlight reflecting from Pyrrhus that is then floating over the hands of what looks like an enormous creature, a huge serpent that floats around it. And then thousands of miles away from that, you see there are tiny millions of these colorful elemental globes that splash across landscapes from places long forgotten. What is Kaelan looking for as he looks through this lens and sees all these strange wonders of the astral sea?
I think he is looking for. You said there is like a place with like broken ships, right?
There are broken ships all over the place in the
All
astral
over the
sea.
place. Okay. Well, we're gonna be on a window ship, so maybe using one of those like mostly intact ships and just kind of going over like just training
Sure.
on one of
Like a
those.
lost shipwreck. Okay.
Yeah.
As you settle on that and your mind focuses on that, you see the deck of a ship that's almost as though it's been lost in the astral sea for so long. Roll me a history check.
Okay. Oh, that was at advantage. Oh, my bad.
We'll just take the first one.
9.
9. As a native of Triton, the design of this ship is ancient. It is old school as hell. It's the sort of ship that you think would probably have been used to go between the small islands, like near Procellus or Candinos, like there, or Peripatea. Very shallow, very old, but seems suitable for training.
Okay.
You know the name of that ship to be a trireme.
Trireme. Okay. There. Right there. That trireme.
Keep your mind's eye on that image and concentrate.
He will do so.
Everyone else place a hand on Kaelan's shoulders. And your team does. And while that happens, Tabernac, who's right in front of you, in front of the ocularum, the lensaculum, he places his hand on your forehead, and suddenly you feel the weight change. You are pressed through a fine mesh. You are plane shifted into the astral sea. Your team is plane shifted with you, and then floating in front of you, you see Tabernac is still floating there, right in front of you. The deck of this trireme is right below your feet, but you're floating in the astral sea. I need to roll some con saves. You have already shifted to the astral sea, so you do not. But everybody else needs to.
Uh-huh.
Duracon succeeds. Wix succeeds. Tame succeeds. No surprise there. Matthew fails.
Oh, boy. Oh, buddy.
And Sean fails. Okay. So your team... Okay, so Sean and Matthew are, like, sickened. They both look unhappy. as the weight of their stomach is suddenly floating around loosely inside them. Everyone else seems to be amazed at the astral sea. It is a lot to take in suddenly, and as you're floating around, you hear your teammates just, whoa, and you hear Tame say, all right, why can't I walk? And Wix, you hear Wix say, use your mind, think about it. You go where you're thinking. What? Durakon says, as he's like upside down, floating above the boat. I don't like this.
Think about going to the mast of the ship.
Wix does immediately, as you say. Tame slowly begins to drift toward it. Durakon rolled a natural one. Durakon just begins to spin.
All right.
Like slowly in cartwheels, he's just, I did, and it did not work.
It'll take some getting used to, but you'll get used to it.
Sean, at disadvantage, does manage to consider the mast, and he begins to float towards it faster than Tame does. Matthew... Jesus Christ. Matthew also just begins to spin in place.
Oh, no. All right, I'm going to move towards it.
Okay. Eventually... Go ahead and roll me an intel. You know how to do this.
11.
11. You're moving a little bit faster than Tame, but not much. You can kind of hear Tabernac is like floating above and watching this happen. You get the impression that training in the Astral Sea was probably a very good idea.
Yeah.
Over the next 10 minutes, Wix and Sean both get it pretty quickly.
Yeah. I figured.
Durakon eventually figures it out. Tame basically gets to the mast, and then she stays there, and she says, I like to fight with my feet flat on the ground.
The window ship will have a certain ability to keep your feet on the deck.
You know this for a fact?
I've been on a gift ship. I'm sure they probably work the same way.
Wix's eyes are wide as shit when she says, you have?
Did she forget that I... I
Seems
didn't
like
tell
it.
her.
She
I
seems
didn't tell
like
her.
she did not make the connection that you've spoken to Gith and it was on a Gith ship.
I traded with them to get out of the Astral Sea.
She just seems like abashed, and she goes,
Speaking of which,
what?
Tabernac.
Hmm.
Now that I've been meaning to come talk to you about it. They seem, well, the Gith that I ran into, they seem to know who you were.
Well, of course they do.
Does a Captain Nuthil sound familiar to you?
I have definitely come in conversation with many Gith envoys when it comes to collecting rare materials from across the astral. Any aspiring wizard must be willing to spread their connections farther than just the prime. So, yes.
In your interactions with him, was he friendly, or, I mean, he didn't kill me outright, but were they good relations?
Oh, yes. I took advantage of a situation where they were under attack by monsters of a kind, and I maybe assisted in vanquishing of those foes, and ever since they have been eager to assist me in my collections.
All right, then. Very cool.
This is, after all, your training time. We can discuss this in more local demeans.
Of course. Well, I think
Your team looks like they could use some guidance.
well, Wix, Sean, you seem to have a handle on moving. Do you think
Sean is like coasting in circles around the ship's deck, and he says, "Oh, this is great. That's fine. Whatever you want."
All right.
Matthew shouts at him, "All right, quit showing off. I'm seeing like four of you."
Do you have any tricks for the rest of us? We're having a hard time.
Sean like stops for a moment and he considers the question. Have you ever tried going around your room with the lights out? Candles all out and it's dark, but you remember where everything is? That feeling. Use that.
All right, everybody try it.
Sean will provide advantage on the intelligence check with that piece of advice.
Okay.
So we'll see how people handle it. First is Duracon. Natural 18 on the second one.
Oh, yeah.
So Duracon, he seems to straighten himself out and he says, I understand this metaphor. And that's all he says. He just seems to move more smoothly. Not very fast, but smoothly, and he seems to get it. Matthew. Okay, Matthew straightens himself out. He moves about as quickly as you were, which is faster than Duracon.
Yeah.
And he says, all right, that does help. Why couldn't you have said that before? And Sean says, it was much funnier to watch you flounder about. When we roll for tame. Okay, that's a natural 20. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, I can't roll any better than that. Tame just gets. As soon as she hears that metaphor, Tame, like, sorts herself out and she begins to just coast. And lastly, well, Wix was already doing it, so I don't have to roll anything for Wix. The next time you are all in the Astral Sea, maybe on a window ship, you'll have advantage on your movement rolls.
Awesome. I rolled a 20 flat.
Then you get the same as Tame.
Okay.
You're moving smoothly. You're moving at about 20 feet around. Which is not as fast as you could do, but it's definitely faster than you were.
Good. All right, then. So we're going to have to think about maybe ranged options if we get into a fight.
Oh, I have lots of those, Wix says. Should we see what it looks like?
Sure.
Give me a target.
And I'll just point towards, like, the helm of the ship.
She casts fireball.
There. Oh. All right.
So, like, you point, and she just shrugs and snaps her fingers, and a tiny little red bead suddenly coasts out. And unlike any other time she's cast fireball, you see that her face, like, watches this little red bead fly in a perfectly straight line until it hits the helm, and then just... It's weird how this globe of flame, it's a perfect sphere that expands instantly, and then also instantly shrinks back down. And all, like, the flame, there's, like, lingering fires. It's as if the space near the helm is also on fire for just a split second. As if all the magic in the area is coalescing into a conflagration. And as that happens, Wix just goes, whoa. It's never looked like that before.
That was impressive. Duracon, Tame, javelins? Maybe?
Right. And then Duracon says, a good plan. He pulls a javelin off his back. He throws it at the helm, but he throws it like it's on the prime material. So he, like, throws it with an arc to it. and it just
And it just straight.
soars off into the distance. And Durakan
All right.
looks up at it and he says, "Oh,
Just look at he'll look at Tame.
you don't
Just
have to.
straight.
You don't have to tell me twice." And she throws a hand axe straight, and it, like she throws it with a spin, and it just, because of how she threw it, it like spins in place, just, and she, like shit and she like grabs it out of the air. Right. No gravity.
Right. How do you feel about a heavy crossbow?
That would probably be easier.
All right. Well, let's practice those
So you give.
throwed.
Oh, okay. She tries again. I'm gonna roll to see if she. Okay. The next time she throws the hand axe, she doesn't throw it with a spin. She throws like a straight throw, as if she's like throwing a shot put, and the hand axe just like straight through the nothingness and boom, slams into the helm. And she says, "All right, that feels weird, but good enough."
Nice.
And Durakan will try. Okay, he throws the javelin like it's a dart, like a bartender's darts, but a really big one. And as he chucks it, it just goes perfectly straight with a little bit of a drift to it, and then the tip just boom, right into the helm. And he says, "Right, we just have to remember, there's nothing pulling it down."
No gravity. Sean, or actually, hold on. Matthew, dagger? Maybe push it rather than chuck it.
Right, I'll try it. And he will fling a dagger. It looks more like he's shifting his sleeve, like pulling a dagger from his sleeve and throwing it in one smooth motion.
Ah, okay. Yeah, nice.
And what you'd imagine, that's like a throw for like extremely close range, but the dagger just keeps going in the perfect straight line that he threw it. And it will also just sink into the helm. And he goes, "All right, I like that here."
Nice. Sean, how does your turret work here?
That is a very good question. And Sean, he will, he activates a small rod, and it suddenly like turns into a spider that up onto his shoulder. And he points at the helm. The Eldritch turret shoots an Eldritch bolt. You watch as Sean suddenly begins to drift in the opposite direction, and he goes, "Okay, good thing we tested that. I'm moving at quite a velocity." The force bolt slams into the helm and explodes part of it. Just, and the shatter of broken shrapnel of wood just scatters out into the astral sea. As Sean floats in the opposite direction. He says, "Hold on, let me get my bearings." He does eventually sort himself out and then float back onto the trireme's deck.
All right. Anybody else think of anything we might want to test out that might be different?
Have you tried your bow?
Let's try it. And he'll unsling Sunmote and pull it back. And, well, things are kind of weightless here, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So, but does pulling it back seem a lot easier now?
No, because
or is it the same resistance?
It's the same resistance. It's just you feel like there's some inkling in your mind that when you loose that arrow, you're going to get pushed back.
Okay. Gotcha. All right.
When you make the bow attack, I need you to make an intelligence save.
Okay. He thinks about that. He's like, "Oh shit!" And he looses the bow.
Yeah, roll me intelligence.
Oh yeah, nice. Okay, 21.
You anticipated it, and you do feel the arrow as it flings from the bow. It's quite a push into your arm that's holding the bow. You feel it like try to shove you back, but you think about it and you focus on staying still, and you do. And the arrow goes right where you were aiming.
All right. Oh, that's a bit weird, but I think I can handle it.
A good thing to practice. Tabernacle says from above as he's watching.
All right. Should we continue until we get comfortable?
That might be wise, Sean says as he's coasting back to the trireme deck from the bolt, launching him off. So what you can do, you can go ahead and roll me a D100.
Huh?
And we'll determine how long you guys are stuck in the astral sea for. A 50.
50.
Okay, I was going to say if you rolled like a below a 30, your team would not become proficient like in the time Tabernacle would set aside for you. But with a 50, you're here for a couple hours, and eventually everyone becomes comfortable enough that there will not be any drastic consequences of fighting in the astral sea.
Okay, gotcha. So we go over like range stuff a little bit more, and then we use the mast for like melee stuff, like with Tame and Duracon and all the people that need to get in melee.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just seeing if the swings are a bit different. We have to like.
Oh, there is. It is so
wise.
different. It is so much different. Melee
Yeah.
fighting, like getting leverage when you don't have anything to kick off of, is very strange.
Okay.
There are going to be some damage penalties if you're fighting with melee in the Astral Sea, at least until everyone gets used to it. But you have saved the real dire effects. They will not happen.
Yeah. It's just imagine we go on the window ship. First combat is just
Nonsense.
straight fucked. Yeah. Okay.
The preparation was wise. And as you finish that, and then Tabernacle pulls you all back into the prime material, that is where we will end tonight's session.
Okay.
So,
Good stuff.
good idea going on the practice run. It was a little expensive, but your team
That's
grouping
fine.
together made it worth it.
Yeah.
Thank you for playing. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, it was a good time.
And
Thank you.
to those of you who are watching, whether you be at home or at work, we love you.
Hi, Pen.
Hi, Pen. And we'll see you all next time. Good night, everybody.